Hi, this is Sue Jackson of the Book by Book blog, and I'm here today with a short July wrap-up. I haven't really been doing monthly wrap-ups because it's Big Book Summer. Typically during a month, I'm only reading a few books, and I've got multiple Friday reads to talk about them. But in this case, I did decide to do a short wrap-up because I was sick during part of the month, so I wasn't doing videos, and I wanted to make sure you heard about all of these great books, but I did try to keep it short. I read a total of 5 books in July, 3 on audio and 2 in print. All were big books for the Big Book Summer Challenge. So I started the month on a high note. I read The FireKeepers Daughter by Angeline Boulley. Oh, wow. I don't know why I waited so long to read this. Everybody's been talking about it for the last few years. Amazing book. I just wrote a review of it on my blog last night. I'll link that below. It is, at its core, it's a YA mystery thriller. But this book is so much more than that. And if you don't normally read YA, I would definitely still recommend this. I didn't know it was YA until, well, I do see the sticker on the front of my book, but I didn't know that really going in. It's set in a Native American community in Sault Ste. Marie in Michigan, far northern Michigan, the Upper Peninsula, right on the Canadian border. It's a close-knit community it's a white community with a large Native population. Hockey is king up there, and they're struggling with a drug problem in the town. And the main character, 18-year-old Donis, gets asked by the FBI to go undercover. Now, she really wants to help her community. She's not so sure about that she agrees with the FBI's approaches. So it is a mystery. It's very suspenseful. It's an action-packed thriller, but there's so much more to it than that. So much emotional depth. Really gets into Donis and her family recently lost someone to an overdose, which is why this is personal to her. They're still grieving the loss of her uncle. It's about grief. It's about friendship. It is YA. There is a love story in it, but a very rocky one. And all of that is set against this amazing backdrop of the mixed community. And the author herself is from the tribe, from the Sault Ste. Marie tribe up there. So there are a lot of details here about traditions and the culture, and it's wonderful. It's just really wonderful. The sense of community, I loved it. I finished it a month ago, and I am still thinking about it. On audio last month, I listened to Mr. Nice Guy by Jennifer Miller and Jason Pfeiffer. I did get the book out of the library, the print book, because my audio was missing one chapter. It was an advanced copy. But this is an older book. I waited way too long to listen to it. This was really good. I thought it was going to be kind of light and fluffy, but it actually digs into some challenging issues, including women in publishing, sexism, sexual assault. It's about a young man in his 20s. He's new to New York City. He has dreamed his whole life about living in New York and being a part of the publishing industry. He gets a job at the magazine that has fueled these dreams of his, a New York style magazine. What's it called? Empire, maybe. And, he's only a fact checker for now, but he feels like he's on the road. And he's new to the city. He meets a beautiful woman in a bar one night. She takes him back to her apartment. He thinks it was a fun night, and hey, he's living the New York lifestyle. Then he finds a detailed account of their night together in his favorite newspaper, in his favorite magazine, Empire, the one he works for, because it turns out that Carmen, the woman he slept with, is the magazine's sex columnist, and he didn't know that. So this starts, the magazine actually hires him anonymously. He's just known as Mr. Nice Guy, because that's what she calls him, not necessarily in a good way. And the magazine hires him to do his side. So it's a he said, she said thing. Their columns are in here. It works really well with the husband-wife team. But like I said, it's not a romance. It's not the happily ever after ending that you would expect at the beginning. It's got a lot of emotional depth, and I really enjoyed it. Next on audio, I listened to another book that has been in my audio backlog for way too long, Countdown by Deborah Wiles. This is book 1 in her 60s trilogy. I love this trilogy, and I read book 2, Revolution, years ago. I don't know why it took me so long to get to this. Each of these books takes place in a different year during the 60s, focusing on a different moment in history. Here it's 1962, the Cold War, the Cuban Missile Crisis, but it is a middle grade book. So the focus is on 11-year-old Franny, I think her name is. And for instance, it begins with Franny and her class having to do a duck and cover drill in school because they've been told that if a nuclear bomb is headed their way, they'll be safe if they hide under the desk. Yeah, it was crazy. It was really crazy. What's amazing about this trilogy is the way she takes the life of an ordinary kid and weaves in real media from the time period. So on the audio, there were radio broadcasts. There was JFK's speech to the nation. There were ads from that time. Walter Cronkite doing his evening news about the Cuban Missile Crisis. I got the book out of the library because I knew from Revolution that the print copy had all kinds of printed materials, and I wanted to see what they included in this one. So again, it's those same kinds of, some of it is real media from that time period, which just makes it all the more fascinating. It is a great series. I really want to read the third book. I also listened to a YA audiobook in July, and that was Hereafter by Tara Hudson. This is the story of an 18-year-old girl named Amelia who is dead. It's a ghost story. So she doesn't know how she died, but she knows she drowned, but she doesn't know the circumstances, how she ended up in the river. But she has she's like in limbo. She can see the living world, but she can't be a part of it. And so one day she wakes. She doesn't really sleep. But she calls these nightmares when she relives the drowning that killed her. So she's just come out of one of these episodes. She's in the river and she sees a boy her age floating down, drowning. Even though she can't normally affect the living, somehow she manages to affect him and save his life. She goes up, he's rescued, they're putting him in an ambulance. She follows just to make sure he's okay. She looks down at him and she realizes he can see her. No other living person, however many years she's been a ghost, has been able to see her. So that's the premise of the book. It was excellent. It is YA, so there is a love story there between a live person and a ghost. So it's a little strange, but there's also a mystery at the heart of the book. about how Amelia died, what the circumstances of her death were. And it's book one of a trilogy. There is a whole big good versus evil plot behind the scenes that she learns about. So I did enjoy that. I always like a good ghost story. The book that kept me busy for much of July, Drums of Autumn by Diana Gabaldon. This is book 4 in her Outlander series. I really enjoyed this one. I mean, I know I say that every summer when I read one of these. These are the biggest of the big books. This one was 880 pages. But every summer I get to the end of one of these and I'm sorry that it ended. Toward the end, my husband was saying, "Aren't you finished with that yet? I thought you were almost done." And I said, I kind of slowed down my reading because I don't want to finish it. Because I read most of this while I was in the throes of COVID, I actually finished it in record time. I've never read one of Diana's novels in such a short time. It took me, I think it was 16 days from start to finish. So yeah, it was the perfect book to have while I was sick, the perfect comfort and escape, completely immersive, as are all of her books. That combination of historical fiction, the intrigue of time travel, the love story of Jamie and Claire, and another love story at the center of this one. Plus, what I loved about this particular one was its setting here in America, in Western North Carolina, in what is now called the Smoky Mountains. It's a beautiful place that we've enjoyed in the past, and I loved the focus on nature and that gorgeous setting in this book. So that's what I read in July. Please let me know in the comments down below. What did you read in July? I can't choose a favorite because Drums of Autumn and The FireKeepers Daughter were both equally outstanding to me. And I enjoyed all my audios as well. So let me know in the comments down below what your favorite book was that you read last month.